This story begins in Wall Street, and it's all captured vividly, and this is a true story, and it's all captured in this book by Michael Lewis, Flash Boys. Guess what? Some very intelligent but clever criminal mindset people in Mumbai decided to take what was described here as the crime and decided to implement the same thing in NSE, and that is the NSE Co-Location Scam. Now, I'm hearing that SEBI is going to allow NSE to go public or do an IPO, initial public offering. I hope this is not true. Sometimes people place a story on the media to try and see how the waves go, how the reactions are from various people, and sometimes they'll think that no reaction is good thing and they'll go ahead and do it. SEBI is useless. SEBI is a bunch of people who don't have any spine. Many of them are beholden to some other people for their jobs, and they are planted specifically to look the other way when corporates are committing white-collar crime. What makes it difficult to understand in the NSA co-location scam is that only a few of the intrepid journalists actually followed it. First, it was Money Life, Sucheta Dalal and her husband Debashish Basu, for which they got sued by the NSE, but they won. And what happened in that case was there was a whistleblower who said that NSE was gaming the whole thing for a few brokers and the others were losing money hand over fist. And as to how that happened, you'll have to read this book, Flash Boys by Michael Lewis, because something very similar was copied and pasted into the Indian scenario. And there were some people in its way. And in order to get those people out, they did some diabolical things, such as taking Jdghnash out of the stock markets, anything to do with stock market, because he was actually doing things the right way. And NSE had an equivalent company for every company that Jdghnash built, and they were trying to compete with him, but they could never win. So what did they do? They put a false case, and now still the courts have not actually adjudicated, and in some cases the courts have adjudicated, but the government, it doesn't matter whether it's BJP or Congress, these people have not acted upon these things. Now, I think, in my personal opinion, if NSE is allowed to go public, that means that the Prime Minister is being fooled by some people with bad advice. And I would just urge the Prime Minister, if you don't think that what I'm saying is true, read this book, then read this book. And there are two other books that were written about this NSE co-location scam. I have one of those, my good friend Palak Shah's Market Mafia, and Sucheta has also written a book called Absolute Power. You should read that too, and also my book, C Company. So all these things point to a big diabolical attempt to try and control the entire stock market in India by a few individuals. C in C Company stands for Mr. Chidambaram, because he is the main brain behind all these things. I sometimes call him evil genius. So I'm going to walk you through what exactly happened in NSE co-location scam. Remember this, NSE co-location is but an inspiration of what played out in NASDAQ and NYSE and is captured vividly in Michael Lewis's Flash Boys. So let's take a quick look at this using slides, and a request to all of you to please like this video. Many of you may not understand it the first time, but believe me when I say this, you are being fooled. Many of you white-collar employees who are now investing into systematic investment plans, SIP, saying that mutual funds will give you better returns than, for example, a fixed deposit. Please, when the proverbial excrement hits the rotating mechanism fixed to your ceiling, it is going to be really bad. And the timing couldn't be more ominous. Today, the Fed has lowered interest rates, interbanking lending rates by 50 basis points or 0.5%. And 2007, the same thing happened. And I think history is going to repeat itself 17 years later, as the stock markets in America are headed to crash. And guess what? This is going to cause a rout in just about every market around the world. So I'm just giving you heads up. You may still have a few days. Just think about your portfolio, what is happening, and invest wisely. I'm not going to say sell this stock or buy this stock. I'm not authorized to do that, and I don't have the wherewithal. All I can tell you is cheating has occurred in one place and that people are being allowed to get away literally with murder. Where does the co-location scam begin? Well, in 2019, SEBI appeared to be getting ready to rule on the NSE co-location scam. Penalties were to be imposed on a group of 14 individuals who are working at the NSE, who comprised the core management of the National Stock Exchange during the co-location scam. These are people like 𝗣𝗚𝙗𝘍, Chitra Ramakrishna, and bunch of other people. NSE initiated co-location services without SEBI's explicit approval in 2009. In 2009, and all this data is available by way of links in this video in the references section. Do read all those things, because this is something that has been in place since 2009. It stopped briefly in 2015 when the whistleblower wrote to Money Life and a few other people, including the finance ministry. Finance ministry, I don't think really wanted to do anything about it, because the minister at the top, whether it was Jaitley or 𝗣𝗚𝘂𝗿 𝗜𝘂𝘁 or now Nirmala Sitharaman, I don't think they understood the depth of the matter or the crime itself that is committed. I again beseech the finance minister, if you want to really know what happened, please pick up the phone and call me. You know where to reach me, and I'll be happy to explain. If you don't want to talk to me, you can talk to Palaksha or Sucheta Dalal. After all, Sucheta Dalal exposed the Harshad Mehta scam, and for which she got a Padma Shri. These are people who have staked their reputation, and intrepid also, I must say, because there is so much harassment that happens. This is a white-collar crime, perhaps the biggest white-collar crime enacted in India on its innocent investors. But who's to say? Nobody seems to listen to our advice. People continue to do day trading, and that is essentially a way to lose money. That's all I can say. High frequency trading can harm investors, as detailed in this book, Flash Boys. That's why I keep telling you that the core of the story has to go back to this. You need to read Flash Boys to understand how it started and then see how it was applied in NSE. The NSE started tick by tick trading and co-location services in Jan 2010 without adequate SEBI notification or public discussion. So what happened was, you suddenly got two highways, one with no signals and one where you had to wait and go through every gutter on the road. This is exactly what happened. And people were not informed, and suddenly somebody was making a lot of money and others were losing a lot of money. The then SEBI chairman was a person called C.B. 𝗣𝗽. The NSE managing director was 𝗣𝗚𝙗𝘍. As we speak, I believe that 𝗣𝗚𝙗𝘍 is holed up in London because he's afraid to come here and face the music. Only Chitra Ramakrishna went to jail for a few months, but even after that, she's on bail now. Nothing has been proven. And if all the charges by CBI and ED are dropped against NSE, then it would be a huge travesty of justice. I don't think that doing all this will incite people or induce FIIs to come in and invest in India. I don't think that is going to happen. You already have another exchange like the GIFT Exchange. Let them invest there. Have a clean process there. Don't allow co-location scam in GIFT Exchange. Maybe India has a hope. How does it matter where money comes in? Whether it comes in this exchange or in GIFT Exchange, it's the same thing. I'm hoping to get Palaksha, my friend, to come and throw some more light on what is happening in the last few days. That may be a follow-up video that we'll have. Today, I just wanted to set the stage for you to understand what really happened in NSE co-location scam. All co-location trades could be deemed illegal. Why? Because I told you, SEBI never permitted NSE to do this trading. Unfortunately, it is like SEBI is being driven by the NSE, whereas it should be the other way around. SEBI is the regulating authority. Unfortunately, this is where things went wrong. 𝗣𝗽𝗍's appointment was controversial because of his previous role at NSDL. A light penalty did not match the extent of the alleged scam. Preferential access was given to select traders who gained early market insights. See, this is where I tell you, right, that some people got advanced information about how the market was going to behave. And this was exploited by companies, and these are companies that have been explained in detail as to how they game the system. And this whole thing started in 2015 when an alpha grep whistleblower claimed that the full order book data was manipulated for over 5 years. So I'm going to strip you back here. There are two things here. Number one, what happens is that these people, that is NSE, did not implement what is known as load balancer. See, load balancer is something where if you have a series of, let's say there are 4 tellers in a bank, okay, and there are 20 people standing in a line. Okay, so what happens is you don't form 4 lines in front of 4 tellers. You form a single line. Whichever teller opens up, you go, the next person goes to that person, right? Easy enough to understand. So this is what in computer parlance is called as a load balancer. The load balancer makes sure that whatever the incoming request for trade, whether it is sell or buy of a stock, is managed by one computer that is free. Instead, what NSE did, and these are all technical people with IIT degrees, what they did was they had a very crude mechanism. Let's say there were 25 servers that were determining and matching the seller and the buyer. Remember, the trade happens when a buyer and a seller exchange a transaction. Somebody buys so many shares, somebody sells that many shares. But what happened was, instead of having an electronic load balancer, they used to turn on these servers randomly at different times of the day to make it look like it was random. The problem was anybody who got onto these things first could stay on the server forever. In other words, what happened was you tried to bribe the people who were turning on these systems, and then they told you exactly which server number was turning on at what point. Then you got in there and you stayed there. You could watch all the trades going back and forth, and you could pick and choose where you wanted to either sell or buy. This was one problem. OTP Group was found guilty of this, but they have also managed to somehow use a technicality not to pay a cent, not to pay a paisa of penalty. And 1,000 crores was the fine levied by SEBI on NSE Group, NSE company, and again, without mentioning the word fraud. And they should have said NSE was not fit and proper, which meant that NSE should have been closed down that day. But that nothing like that happened. They continued to do it. They continued to profess innocence, and all these scoundrels and crooks are still out. So what happened? So that's the first crime. The second crime is that the full order book data was manipulated for over 5 years. So 2015 is when the whistleblower wrote. So go back, like 2009 or 2010. That's when this whole thing started, because 2010 is where co-location started, right? What happened is order book is something like before the stock exchange starts, you know who is going to do how much trading. Why? Because there are institutional investors, mutual funds, big companies who are actually trading and selling and buying stocks. So if you know what they are going to buy or sell at the beginning of the trading day, and if you knew it ahead of time, then you could choose and pick a particular algorithm that would maximize the results for you. The person who designed the NSE Co-Location Scam is a guy called 𝗤𝙧 𝗲 along with his wife Susan Shah. Both are supposed to be IIT Delhi graduates. They both claim to have PhDs, very questionable degrees. That has been proven to be incorrect. I'm not sure 𝗤𝙧 𝗲 got a degree, but definitely Susan Shah's degree is suspect. That's all written in 𝗏𝗏𝗃 Shah's Market Mafia. So what happened was these two have come up with this nifty 50 algorithm for which they still get paid royalties. I don't know why you would need to pay royalties for them, because these are all screwy deals that NSE did. Anyway, so 𝗤𝙧 𝗲 designs the backend on the NSE computers. He also starts companies outside, and these companies are taught how to game the system, because you know what's going on the other side. Right. So what happened was algorithms were reportedly created, and these were used to get an edge during trading. Now, if you think about it in layman's terms, getting the full order book data before trading begins is akin similar to getting the question paper one day ahead of the exams. Why would you not get 100% every time? Right? That's the point. This is now being told that, oh, nothing has happened, no crime has been committed, NSE is clean, smelling of fresh lilies, and it can go public. This is what they are saying. Well, how this was done, I'm going to tell in a little bit more detail. Unauthorized installation of dark fiber allowed some firms to outrun others between NSE and BSE. This is a fine-tuning of the same thing. In this, what happens is, so I told you two things, right? One is that people get in the beginning, they can watch the trading and they can make sure that they can pick or choose which ones they want to do. Second one is getting the question paper one day ahead of time. The third one is subtle, and again, this is explained in Flash Boys. What happens is, supposing I explain this using two friends, Ramu and Somu, and I say that Ramu stays on the main street where the bus comes, and the bus that he takes to go to school comes and stops in front of his house. Okay, and Somu lives 3 streets away. He has to run from there to the bus stop. Sometimes he comes before the bus leaves, sometimes he doesn't make it. That is exactly what is happening today when you day trade. Nothing has changed. They have not changed the stuff. So what happens is, because Ramu lives right by the bus stand, he is always going to be able to get the bus, right? So this is another thing that people have been doing. They used to have their selling or buying desk very close to where the server engine used to match the sell and buy orders. So NSE has this Bandra Kurla complex, BKC it's called, and there you have all these server engines. Now, any broker, if they go and get this building, their terminal very close to it, they are essentially like Ramu. They can get on the bus every time. It didn't stop there. They wanted to make sure that whatever was happening on the other stock exchange, which is the Bombay Stock Exchange, there also they wanted to be the first one to look at the incoming orders. For that, what they did was, they illegally laid dark fiber, and so that they would sit in NSE and they would still be able to outrun anybody else on BSE. For example, let's say Infy sells its stocks in both NSE and BSE, and when they were chasing a particular stock, they wanted to be the first one. They would go in and corner the entire market. Looks a little difficult to understand, but that is white collar crime for you. You need to drill into the details, and by thinking that not allowing NSE to go public, people are not going to invest money or FIIs won't come in, is a falsehood. In my opinion, 33% of the people who have invested in NSE, and these are all given again in the articles, is Benami. These are mostly Congress politicians and UPA politicians. And if NSE goes public, then 1/3 of the money that comes from that will directly benefit all these people. Guess what they are going to do next? They are going to throw some of that money into elections, and it will become even more difficult for the BJP. So whoever is advising you, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Finance Minister, PMO office, whoever it is that is going to make a call on this, understand this. By enabling this, you actually will be sticking it to yourself. If you want to go ahead and stick it to yourself, it is your business. But I told this thing 5 years ago. I've just waited and waited and waited and waited, just like Pranay Roy escaping punishment. I've seen all these NSE managing directors also escape with just a rap on the knuckles. Shame on all of us if we can't catch white collar thieves who were caught with their hand in the cookie jar, and you still go ahead and release them. Well, that means you don't know how to govern. Plain and simple, you don't know how to govern. If you don't understand how the stock markets work, get an expert. Let them understand and explain to you what exactly was a white collar crime here. So then this, I told you, right, Ajay Shah had a company or a bunch of companies that he was consultant to, and some of these companies were actually run by the sister of Susan Thomas called Sunita Thomas. And they had a software company that would essentially sell these algorithms for a hefty fee, because they would say guaranteed success, you know you will win. Like there were firms like Way to Wealth Brokers and GKN Securities, they were accused of benefiting from this. These are not the only two, there were many others. So here is how the HFT scam, that is high frequency trading scam. High frequency trading scam is what I told you about the Ramu Somu bus being very close to the bus stop. Finance Minister P. Chidambaram, Finance Ministry, a guy called Dr. KP Krishnan. Then there were some people in NSE, Ravi Narayan, Chitra Ramakrishna, Suprabhat Lala, Ravi Varanasi, Ajay Shah as a lobbyist. Then the advance info would go to Singapore, where FIIs and FPIs, foreign portfolio investors, foreign institutional investors, got advance information. Then they could use brokers such as 𝗤𝙜𝙬𝘲, OPG, Chanakya, Infotech to game the system. And they use the HFT to make profit. That's how this loop used to continue on and on and on and on. And all the money that was invested to make these trades used to come from Cayman Islands and other places, and it would all come through Mauritius, because if you put your money through a Mauritius-based company, you did not pay any capital gains tax. UPA members, the accused people are 𝗤𝙗𝙗 𝗔𝙗𝘆, then Robert Vadra, and a bunch of other people. I'm sure many other UPA ministers also benefited handily on this. That's why P. Chidambaram is called the rainmaker. So after the whistleblowers letter came out, and then after NSE sued unsuccessfully 𝗤𝙧𝙤𝙀 𝗏𝗏 and 𝗤𝙑𝙬𝙤 𝗏𝑆𝑒, NSE was asked to pay fine even, but then the agency started getting into the act. But I tell you, at that time, the finance minister was Jaitley, and I've told you many times that he and Chidambaram are two sides of the same coin. That's why I keep saying that, because it's not like I have a personal animosity to any of these people, but these people are all dyed-in-the-wool scoundrels, rascals. These people know how to milk the system. They are in on this. Anyway, so what happened after that was NSE had to make a pretense that there was nothing wrong. So they appointed, as usual, a couple of the big four accounting firms, Deloitte and EY, but they themselves had conflicts of interest as pointed out by a whistleblower. So this thing, they made a hash of it. There was a SEBI technical action committee that proved beyond doubt that whatever was alleged by the whistleblower was indeed true. So the crime was all there in SEBI's hands. And for SEBI to turn around now and say nothing happened, come on now, this is a grave travesty of justice. Like I said, if you don't know how to govern, please step aside. There are better people who can do a better job at governing SEBI, at governing and at making sure that people, crooks, don't get away with their crime. Now, the high frequency trading made illegal gains of between 50 to 60,000 crores between 2010 and 2014. They made daily gains of about 50 to 100 crores. So if you think about it, 50 crores, 20 trading days in a month, that is 1,000 crores. Earning over 5 years is 1,000 times 12 times 5, 60,000 crores. This is the kind of money that was there. And now they want to go public. Come on now. Since 2016, they have been trying to do that. For 8 years, some of us steadfastly tried to stop this from happening. But if now the government wants to go ahead and allow them to go public, what can I say? I mean, all of us are doing it because we see that right in front of our eyes, the country is being robbed blind. If FIIs and FPIs want to invest, let them invest in gift exchange. NSE needs to go. Completely cut it down and don't leave a single person. That's all I can say. I mean, I shouldn't sound like a bitter man. I'm just looking at the data and telling you the facts as I see it. And if nothing happens, well, I'm not surprised, because Pranay Roy also, he was black and white a crook. He got away. So what can I say? People continue to live their lives of quiet desperation, and people who are making money continue to make money. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.